it's Gareth here from London, and it's Thursday. That means it's another Thoughtful Thursday format here. If you've been with me on the vlog for a while on this channel, you might know that this year I'm trying to do much more on YouTube, and I'm trying to develop a sort of regular, schedule, if you like, with quick tips mainly on Tuesday, and then with a sort of vlogging format. And on Thursday it will be mainly something to camera like this, thoughts, or it might be an interview, or it might be one of my travel vlogs. I've got a couple of those coming up, so I'll try and put those up on a Thursday. But as regards the sort of piece to camera thoughts about language learning type vids, then what I'm going to do is sort of start a few different subjects and keep them running in parallel. So we've already talked about are kids better at language learning, and I want to come back to that quite soon, look at it from another angle, at the benefits that adults have. Another hair I want to start running though this time is to talk about travelling abroad and language learning. Do you maybe feel it's just not practical for me to learn a language because I can't go abroad to do it? So that's the topic I want to look into a bit today, but I won't cover all aspects. Again, we'll come back to it on another session. Now, there's no doubt in my experience that going to live abroad for an extended period can be a great way to really cross the bridge to fluency with your language. And I've actually done it with all the languages I've got really good at, apart from French. I went to live in Wales for about 9 months when I was seriously learning Welsh when I'd just come out of university. And I spent extended periods in Germany as a graduate student when I was also learning German, and in Russia as a graduate student too. My thesis was actually on Russian history, but I had a German professor, so I had opportunities to spend time in both countries, which was great, and that really helped me on the road to fluency. However, it's those very experiences which alerted me to the fact that this is, while it's potentially very advantageous, not completely necessary, because I met people in the Soviet Union, and then as Russia as it became, who were speaking good English, who had never had the opportunity to go abroad. Simply travel wasn't allowed much before the late 1980s, before the period of perestroika when things started to open up. People who taught themselves by reading, listening maybe to the shortwave radio. And of course today it's so much easier to get exposure through the internet. Living and travelling abroad can be a great boost to your language learning, but just going abroad, of course, does not mean you're going to learn the language. And we've all had the experience of those expats who spend years maybe in a country and never actually learn the language. So it's not sufficient in itself, and we'll come back to tactics to make sure you don't turn into one of those expats or one of those year abroad students who just hangs out with the other foreign students another time. And I have one video on this already when I spoke to Harry Ness, who was a student on his year abroad in Germany. I'll repost the link to that underneath. So don't think anyway that going abroad to live for a longer period, particularly talking about rather than tourism, I think today, is going to be a panacea. And at the same time, don't then despair if that just isn't practical for you because of your family commitments, work, health, finances, or whatever. It's not essential, and you can learn a language to fluency in your home country. What are the ways of doing it? Well, there are 3 things I think we should flag up. One, of course, I've already indicated is remote learning. Wonders of the internet mean that now that is so practical and so easy. I talk often about iTalki, where you can get lessons, Skype lessons. I'll put a link underneath again to that. So, think about remote learning. Whether it's using classes one-to-one online or tech. You can of course attend physical classes if they're available in your language. You can follow videos on YouTube. You can use Netflix perhaps if your language is one of the more popular languages. Podcasts. There are all sorts of ways you can get exposure, active and passive, as well as of course good old books. And don't forget that many of those Russians I met, that was before the internet. And, reading is one of the things I always advocate in language learning anyway. You can also create a virtual immersion environment in your home, in your surroundings. Again, partly by using the radio. I've vlogged on that already, and audio, but there are other ways you can do that too. We'll in another session. And you can also see this in your neighbourhood. I've got a Tuesday vlog coming up about that, about my own neighbourhood pretty soon. But are there people around you could actually get to know, make contact with? And it may be that there are actually people you can speak to in a more natural context in your home, your home territory, if you like, than if you were going abroad as the foreigner. So don't despair. It's great if you're able to spend an extended time abroad. I would really always want to do that, and I look forward and hope to be able to do that again myself in the future. But if that's not practical for you, there are ways through using the technology, through virtual immersion, and through making the most of the language communities around you that you can reach fluency without actually going to the country where your target language is spoken. What's your experience been? Do you feel that actually the ability to travel was crucial to you in your journey to fluency, if you've got that far? If you haven't, are you feeling held back and frustrated? Or do you find that physical location really is now irrelevant because of the technological revolution? Let me know your experiences in the comments below. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and give us a thumbs up if you found this a useful video and you agreed with me. Remember that you can get my 5-part free Discover How to Get Fluent video course by following the link underneath in the information box as well. Thanks a lot for watching. See you next time, and ate logo!